May I please welcome now to the podium Mr. Ibrahim Bakri, who is the Assistant Director, Middle East Center, University of Pennsylvania from the United States of America.
Hello, everyone. I want to begin by extending my deepest appreciation to the staff of Dirasat and to everyone who's come together to make this summit a possibility. In the wake of the recent passing of Dr. James McGann, it's more important than ever for all of us to gather here and carry on his legacy. I know if he was here today, the sight of everyone in this room would bring him so much happiness. Losing Jim is hard. I'm not so sure it's really sunk in for me yet. I keep expecting to see him pacing around the room, keeping time and wrangling speakers and interns. And of course, we'd probably hear him well before we could see him. He didn't exactly have an inside voice. But every word he said, he would say with conviction, and he made certain he was heard. And there's a lesson there for all of us. He was a hurricane of a human being, with more energy than anyone I've ever met. He couldn't keep still. Call after call, conference after conference. It's who he was. He devoted every second of every day to his work. I remember that Laura had this map that she'd keep in his office, and we would stick pins in it just to try to figure out where he was at any given moment. You know that old expression, find a job you love, and you'll never work a day in your life? Now, I disagree completely, because Jim worked hard, harder than anybody I've ever known, but he was doing something he was passionate about, and he never stopped moving forward. Seeing that's inspirational, and working alongside him, I think I learned what devotion truly means. Devotion to your work, to your family, and to the ones you care about. Now, the first day I met him, I'll be honest with all of you, I was intimidated. I was an intern interested in policymaking, and I was hoping that I'd be able to learn something from him. Now, on day one, in a room full of over 75 wide-eyed students, he walked in loudly. Now, mind you, we're all sitting there silently, just waiting on instruction. And the moment he began, he started on this long speech of our assignments and the importance of the work we'd be doing and how crucial think tanks were to the world. And these were significant assignments he gave out right away. And there was no further elaboration, but that's just who he was. I used to try and find these cracks in his armor through humor, but he would always beat me. If I moved his desk to a separate place before a meeting began, he would just sit in the desk. If I replaced all of his business cards with my own, which I did probably at least half a dozen times, he'd just throw them out and start answering his emails. I learned over time that he was significantly funnier than me, and it was the foundation of the relationship that I shared with him. Knowing that I won't hear his thunderous laugh or his incredible wit fills me with pain. But I look back on those times as defining. At a transformative moment in my life, he taught me so much about the kind of man I want to be, one who could inspire through intensity and work ethic, but also through warmth, kindness, and laughter. I owe so much of who I am to the opportunities he provided me. And I'm just one of his former interns. Ask any of the thousands of students he mentored, and they'll tell you the same thing. And quite a few are in the room today. He had high expectations, but that's because he held everyone around him to the same standard he held himself. He would always claim that his students were the next generation of think tank scholars and executives, and he would say that proudly. Because in his mind, working at a think tank and devoting your life to this work was the most noble pursuit a person could choose. To devote one's life to research and to the pursuit of truth, all to impact governance and create policies that work, policies that'll make people's lives better. And he believed that think tanks had limitless potential. Now, in an era when facts have become subjective and faith in experts is at an all-time low, Jim believed in the power of think tanks to write the course of history through communication, transparency, and the sharing of best practices. He understood that our greatest resource on this earth is the bonds we share with one another. A single person may not be able to change the world, but a collection of some of the greatest policy minds of our time, working hand in hand to make the world a better place, he was willing to bet on that. to bet on you every day of the week. Now, in our youth, all of us want to change the world, and most of us outgrow that pretty quickly. But he never did, and this is his legacy. I ask this of you now. Don't slow down. Continue to build your networks, to cooperate with one another, and to view yourself not as individual think tanks, but as something bigger, something greater. Instead of falling victim to the worrisome trends that threaten to make think tank work obsolete, look to the future. Don't be reactionary, be revolutionary. Stand at the front lines of technological innovation, of the utilization of artificial intelligence, of equal hiring practices, and of elevating voices that the world needs to hear. Jim believed in a brighter future, and looking around this room, so do I. So let's not disappoint him. May his memory be a blessing to all of us, and Allah yarhamu. I'm looking forward to an incredible summit. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim Bakri, Assistant Director, Middle East Center, University of Pennsylvania, from the United States of America.